everybody. I'm Lisa Shield, and this is Finding the Guardian of Your Soul. I am so excited to have Vanessa here today. Vanessa is one of the most beautiful women I have ever met inside and out, truly. And I don't just say that, I think that you are amazing. Um, I had the pleasure of working not just with Vanessa, but with one of her very dear friends who just got married, which is amazing, right?
Yep. And I went to her wedding.
Yeah, and she met her partner during the pandemic when we worked together, which was pretty amazing. Met the sweetest guy, and then she referred you to me, which the best clients come from the best clients. So, yeah, Vanessa, it is wonderful to have you here. Thank you for being here.
Oh my gosh, for you, anything.
Aw, I love that. Thank you. So tell me, first of all, I like to go back in time to where you were when you were single. Like before you called me, before you saw my annoying Facebook or, that YouTube video ad. Your friend told you about me. So you didn't go through that process.
I don't think any annoying communication from you, Lisa. It's all been cool.
Oh, okay, good. Yay. And let's talk about, where were you when you were single? Like, can you go back there a little bit?
Yeah, I specifically remember the day that I had my breakthrough call with you because I was just on the heels of a really, really terrible experience with an avoidant man. And it was on the heels not just of one, but of several avoidant men that I had come across. And what just kept happening over and over again was that I was pouring my heart and soul into all of these guys. And and constantly blaming myself and thinking that there was something wrong with me. But I had the call with you, and you're like, Vanessa, these are all avoidant men. And I had read patched, but I hadn't really applied it to my life. And so even just you saying on the breakthrough call, like all these men are avoidant, I could just with that one statement from you go back and realizing that in all of my single life, I was in this sort of pattern of attracting these men. And I guess I would say, well, it wasn't necessary. I don't like to think that it was necessarily my fault, but what I didn't realize and what I learned in the course was that there were some things that I was doing that was attracting avoidant men. And that was the pattern in my single life that I needed to learn how to stop.
And how long, Vanessa, do you think that pattern played out? For how many years?
Oh God, you don't want to know. So I'm 38. And it probably started when I was a sophomore in high school. So 22 years. It's just because it was a pattern that started when I first started dating and interacting with men. That was all I knew. And I thought that's all dating was. I didn't realize that it could be different.
Mm-hmm. It was what was normal for you.
Yeah. And I think I always thought that I just needed to figure out how to crack the code on one of the guys, like how to be good enough for one of them. And that as soon as I cracked the code, that would be my guy. That it was just about me figuring out the way to be this like magical person with the keys to the castle. And then this guy would emerge and I'd have my happily ever after. So that's why I kept so willingly doing the same thing over and over again, just because I thought I needed to work on my man code.
Mm-hmm.
Dissect man code in order to get there. And I just thought I just hadn't cracked the code.
I love what you're saying so much, because as you were describing that, and I've never heard anybody articulate it the way that you did, that was like, I think so many people can relate to where you were. Like that, we just think, I'll read the right book, or I'll get some advice from my girlfriend, but there's got to just be some code that I can crack. And then, yeah, I'm just going to meet my guy and live happily ever after, right? We'll get married, we'll have a couple of kids and whatever. But and what we don't realize is we are perpetuating a real pattern, a devastating pattern in our lives. But there is no code, or nobody that probably you had come across gave you the code until you met me.
No. Yeah. And you know what it was too? It was like, there was never, ever gonna be a code for this type of guy. That was the most shocking thing. I was like, futile exercise. Like, there's no code for avoidant men. There isn't. But you don't even need a code. You learn how to attract a secure man. And I was like, wait a minute. I just wasted like 22 years just diving into the wrong segment of the population. It was mind-blowing.
And trying to make it work with those guys over and over and over again, and thinking, well, if I change this, or, and one of the traps, by the way, is you get into this, well, I'll be more feminine, or I just will, I'll ask for what I want this time. I'm just going to be more vocal. Like, we make all of these adjustments and change. We keep adjusting ourselves to men that are never going to have relationships with us, no matter what we do.
It's so true. Like, I think that's where I got this tendency to be the cool girl, always, to just always be like breezy and easy and whatever you want. And like, I don't mind you just canceled on me, or like, I don't mind I haven't met your family. Like, and the breezier I can be, the more I'll crack the code. But then I realized, and only in retrospect, after having gone through END, that all I was doing was abandon myself. So that the version that they were getting of me, these men were getting of me, was not me at all. I was giving them this kind of whitewashed shell of what version I thought they wanted. It was, bad. I kind of look back on it and I'm like, God, I feel bad for that version of myself. I know it needed to happen for a reason, but I think it's also just this realization that, like, you don't have to spend 22 years of your life trying to learn this lesson. Like, you really gave me sort of the pathway to get out of this habit, to get out of patterns and sort of live a happier life, not just in my dating life, but in my life at large, to not create a version of my life that wasn't true to who I was either, to not abandon what I really, really wanted in all facets of my life. So change.
Yes, you're living more authentically in every aspect of your life, in work, with your friends. You left your job, you're starting your own business, I believe. Is that true? Or you've started it?
Yes, I have.
We'll get into that. But Vanessa, so what made you, when your friend told you that about me, or how did you learn about me? I'd love to know. Tell me how you learned about me.
I can remember all of this so distinctly, just because choosing to do this program changed my life so much that everything that led up to it is kind of ingrained in my mind. So I'm going to say her name just because I know her testimonials are on your site. So,
okay, cool.
So my friend Deeple and I have been friends since we were interns in college. And we always just were kind of like the single girls, and had that in we had that in kind to sort of share. And she had gone through some really, really rough times and breakups and all this stuff. And then she went into your course, met her now husband, and everything that she wanted in terms of her romantic life sort of came true. And she, after that, had really encouraged me to join Emotionally Naked Dating. And she's like, anytime I was going through a downtime, I'd FaceTime her and be like, this is what's happening. It happened again. I'm so upset. And she was like, Vanessa, this is what Lisa Shield would say you should do. Try and take Lisa Shield's advice. She was like, you should really think about taking this course. And I just wasn't ready. And I admittedly had like a little bit of sticker shock on what the price was, or the investment, I should say. And so what's happening is I'm having a fever pitch with getting just like beat up, not physically, but just like emotionally beat up by all these avoidant guys. So my calls to Deeple are becoming more and more frequent. Finally hit rock bottom with this one guy who just really, really broke my heart. And it so happened that on that day, Deeple was in town visiting LA, where I lived at the time. So we got dinner, and I am just bawling, and I'm just beside myself, and I'm like, I don't know what to do anymore. Like I'm starting to worry about my fertility. Like this is so draining. And she's like, I cannot watch you do this anymore. You have got to take this course. Like, you're ready. Stop torturing yourself. Like, it is time. And I emailed you the next day. I will tell you, I was so upset in that waiting time. It was like maybe 3 days, because you guys were doing an offsite, and I was laying on my couch just crying, refreshing the browser, my Gmail browser, just waiting for some lifeline to get out of this. Because I think it's really hard for people that have perhaps been in a relationship for a long time to understand how just draining it can be to be out in the dating world and not finding success for years and years and years while your friends get married. I'm the oldest of four. All my sisters are married. Like, you're just watching everybody pair off, thinking that, like, not only is there something wrong with you, but are people starting to think that there is too? Like, does my family wonder why I'm not in a relationship to my friends? And so those 3 days were just me kind of like being at the end of my rope, like waiting for an email. Please let me have this breakthrough call with Lisa. And then we scheduled it, and that's kind of where it all began. So my introduction to you was a long time ago, but it did take me a while to get to the point where I was ready for what the course had to offer and what you had to offer.
Mm-hmm. And that's what happens. That's what happens sometimes. It has to align. And I'm glad, you went through, it's kind of like somebody going to a 12-step program. Sometimes you really do have to hit a bottom to be able to recognize in yourself that you're not figuring this out, that it just keeps getting worse, and that you keep, a lot of the women, Vanessa, that I speak to, they put on such a such a facade that everything's fine and I'm so wonderful and my life is so good and I have my kids and I have my grandkids and, or I had my wonderful girlfriends and, and if I don't meet someone, I'll be fine. And I love how Mel Robbins says that the worst word, the F word, is the worst word in the English language, fine. I'll be fine. Well, is fine really good enough, for these successful women who have everything and they'll just be fine if they don't have a guy?
You and I kind of talked about that in my breakthrough call, where I was feeling guilty that I wasn't grateful that everything, just for the fact that everything else in my life was the way that it was supposed to be. You know, a loving, healthy family, I lived 2 blocks from the beach in LA. I had the coolest job, like all this wonderful friends, happy, all this cool apartment, everything. And I'm like, is it ungrateful of me to not just be happy with the things that I've been given, things that people would dream of? Why can't I just find happiness without having a partner? And you were just sort of, there's nothing wrong with wanting to live your life with somebody beside you. It's sort of like a human need. And that permission to want it and to not feel guilty and know you can be grateful for all these amazing things that you have, and also really want to live your life with somebody, and like not want to be, I felt lonely, and to want to not be lonely anymore.
Well, and I think people just suppress that. They work, they go to the gym, they go whatever they do, whatever they do, watch TV, eat, whatever, to suppress that feeling of loneliness. But I believe in my heart of hearts, sure, you can be fine alone. I'm a grown up, I'm an adult. I can be perfectly fine living alone. I can deal with it and I can be mature about it. But is that really how I want to live my life? Hell no.
Oh,
How, so let's talk about so your Deeple did you this beautiful good service of putting us in touch. First of all, Deeple, if you're listening to this, just know I just adore you, and it just means the world to me that you connected Vanessa with me, because you two are just angels. And it's hard, I know Deeple as well, Vanessa, and something I felt about both of you two are such, I just want anybody listening to really hear this. These are two of the kindest, most, open-hearted, beautiful women you'd ever want to meet in your life. And to hear that both of you struggled, you know, in the dating world, because you're not jerks, you're two really adorable girls, women. You're two darling women. You're not even super masculine, you're not walled off. Maybe a little bit, maybe there were things to learn, but Vanessa, you in particular, you're just this love bug. You radiate love, and honestly, and you have this freshness about you. At 38, you still have, in a very good way, a balance between this very deep and mature woman side of you, but also this girl, which guys love. And yet you struggled and you met avoidance. So I think a lot of people watching would look at you and just be like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tear up.
Pardon me?
You're making me tear up.
Oh, no. So, well, thank God we met, right? And I could pass my years of wisdom on to you. Thank God. And so you decided, we did our initial call.
Yep.
And I pointed out that these men were all avoidance. And if you weren't in before, then you were in, right?
100%.
Okay. So you started the course. Tell me what it was like doing this 12-week transformational program.
I think that it was a huge weight off of my shoulders just to start, because I knew that I was doing everything that I could to try and excavate this part of my life and make it better. And you told me on the breakthrough call, you're like, Vanessa, I'm going to change your life. And I had this great example of Deeple whose life was changed. And I'm like, if I just work at this really, really, really hard, if I don't skip any steps, if I go back and do every module, if I, do my relationship inventory to the nth degree, my life is going to change. And I just put my belief in that. And I was a little bit of like, Jesus, take the wheel. Lisa Shield, take the wheel. Like, I'm going to stop trying to figure this out on my own and just do everything that she says. And it just felt like a huge exhale.
Yeah.
That finally this wasn't something I had to figure out in the gymnastics of my mind. That I could just, because also, I mean, I'm a type A person. I'm a doer. I like everything neat and organized. I was in the corporate world. Like, to know that I was doing everything that I could, just made me feel better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's a part to this where, and I'm still working on this in like all facets of my life, where you have to surrender, of course, where you
Mm-hmm.
have to surrender to, like, it might not happen right in this 3 months, or it might not happen in the first year of the course. I did meet somebody in that time, but I think it's also, if I hadn't, I think you, through the course and with Cassie and Rebecca, give us the tools to also be okay with if it doesn't happen right away, because you also know you're doing everything you can and you're doing everything right, and you have a clearer view for the type of man that you're looking for, so you could be more strategic about, nope, not him, not him. um
And Vanessa, you really get clarity on what to look for in a way that I think most people just they really don't understand that, they think they're looking for, well, I want a guy who's educated and I want a guy who's this and a guy who's that. And all of those things may be true, but there's a whole other list of things that's way more important that they don't know they need to look for. And once you have that, what was it like to have that list?
well, I was just sort of, it made things easier in a certain way, because I think that we all have this laundry list in our mind of all the characteristics that this guy is supposed to have, and it makes it really hard. You're
Mhm.
kind of, it's like, if they're really great in one area but they're not in the other, putting them um you're putting this impossible standard against these guys, and maybe not necessarily prioritizing the things that are the most important. So
Mhm.
it helped me keep my eye on the prize, honestly. And it actually led me to my boyfriend now, because I focused on the five things in my final five, and he had all of them, and the rest of the things just kind of fell away.
Wow.
Not to say it isn't it's not necessarily easy all the time. Even now, we just still have to find ways that we can talk through things and differences that we have. But from a value standpoint, and what's the most important to me, like, what are the pillars of our relationship, he has them, so we have the foundation that we can work off for all the rest.
And Vanessa, congratulations. I know that you have met somebody. Um, I would love to know, can you tell everyone, like, you went through a massive transformation. You're no longer in Los Angeles. So all of these things kind of transpired together. And you have a bit of a unique story and how, in the two of you connecting. Can you share about that?
Yeah. So one of the things that we talked through again on my breakthrough call was that, even though I was living in LA, I was really looking to meet somebody out there who would eventually be willing to move to the East Coast, because that's where my family is. And I always thought, like, that's going to be impossible to find. Like, I shouldn't even have this on my list of things. Like, who's going to want to move from this like beautiful sunny paradise to like New Jersey? Oh, I'm like, but you know, New Jersey's great. I mean, I'm pretty close to there now, but you were just like, you can have those things. You can do those things. You will find somebody that's willing to do that. And so I started my dating process sort of looking for that very thing. But there was a module in the course where you're supposed to find, when you get into your top 10, you have to do an exercise where you figure out if you actually possess the qualities in yourself that you're asking your partner to hold. So, for example, if you say, I want to be somebody that is willing to move to the East Coast, you have to look and say, am I willing to move to the East Coast? And I looked at that one item and I said, I need to just move to the East Coast myself. I need to be where I want this guy to eventually go. Like, why am I meet this person so that we can just together move?
Mm-hmm.
So I made the decision to quit my job in LA, a cool job. I was running an art gallery there in Manhattan with like a surfer. We'd go like surfing every morning. It was amazing, like palm trees and acai bowls. But you know, my family was amazing. Like, so cool. Such a job, but it started to feel really hollow that my family and my close friends weren't there. And so I made the decision to be the partner I wanted to find. And I decided to move back to the East Coast. So in the decision to make that move, knowing that I was going to be landing in the general area where I am now, like the Philadelphia, New Jersey area, I went onto Bumble and I switched my location to travel mode so that it showed up that I was already here on the East Coast. Wow. So I was all of these matches on the East Coast and just having to tell them like, okay, in 3 weeks I'm moving back. And like, that's why my location says I'm on the East Coast, but I'm really in California. And it was through that process that on Bumble I met my now boyfriend. So he lives in New Jersey. He lives about 20 minutes away from where I am now. And we kind of started off the first 3 weeks long distance. And here we are. So it's kind of crazy how if you embody what you want, it makes it easier to get what you want.
That's so cool. And you changed your whole life. You left that career, that position, and now you're doing your own business,
yep.
Right? That's just amazing.
Thank you. And that's also my decision to leave the job that I had was also in part because of the course.
Wow.
The person that was my boss, who was a male, I think also might have had some avoidant tendencies. And because everything that you learn in the course applies to the rest of your life, I started to realize that not only was I in this anxious avoidant trap in my dating life, I was in it in my career. I was in it in other facets of my personal life. So that was a huge aha for me. And I realized that it was time for me to, start something new where I was excavating that presence of avoidance from everything that I was doing.
Wow. That's awesome, Vanessa. That's
Thank
really
you.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Just huge. And it always blows my mind how people come and do this work in the course to find love, but how it does impact other parts of their lives.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it really, every facet. It even changes the way I communicate with my mom.
Because it all works for everybody, but it especially works in romantic relationships with men, right? But it works Oh, that's so amazing. I
Yeah.
love that. So your life is really different. Share a little bit about about your relationship and just what it's like to have, like you and I talked about, it's so easy for women to just push this away and say, "Oh, I'll be fine," and all, but this is, I'm guessing, just absolutely, changed your whole life as far as having a partner.
Yeah, I mean, I think one major thing it changed from just a foundational level back to what we were talking about with like getting really focused on what you're looking for is that it changed the type of person that I was willing to meet. And if I hadn't gone through the course, I think I would have swiped left on the guy that is my boyfriend now, Colin. Um, because he did not go to college. He went to culinary school. So I used to have a filter where like anybody who didn't have an undergraduate degree wouldn't make it through my filter. So he would have been off right away. And he does have, a little bit of a non-traditional job with some non-traditional hours. But I kind of realized that like all of those things weren't as important as if we have this sort of emotional foundation that we can build upon. If it's there, we can make anything work. So even from step one, like he would have been long gone before. And now it's like, here's this person in my life. And I also think that it's because of those, things about him that he doesn't have an undergraduate degree or he has like a non-conventional um, career that a lot of other women passed him by. And I think, you talk about that in the course too. It's the same thing as like, there's amazing short men out there. They're getting
Yeah.
passed on by because they don't meet the height filter. And it's like, I feel like there's all amazing diamonds that are out there, diamonds in the rough that we're all overlooking. And we're all going for these kind of like the same small pot of guys that might not even necessarily fill our emotional needs. So just from this foundational stamp, just from day one, it invited different people in my life. And that's how he sort of, came into my orbit. And I would say with him and with our relationship, it's like a relationship I've never had before in my life because we actually communicate and we actually talk about things and we have open dialogue and I don't just, filter myself. I'm just going to switch my camera because it's going to die. I don't just filter myself so that he gets this like perfect version of me. He actually gets the real version of me. He really gets like my emotion and what's going on in my head and the fears that I have and all that stuff. And so we have a real authentic connection, not with this like this what's the word, this hologram that we're projecting of what we're supposed to be, but we're actually in a relationship with the true version of the other. I mean, hopefully he feels this way too. But that's how I feel.
I would guess he would have to with you. I mean, Vanessa,
Yeah.
if you being in a relationship with permission to be who you are, because who you are is just so amazing.
Oh,
You
Lisa,
really,
thank you.
you're just such a beautiful human being. I adore you. So I
Thank
can't even,
you.
I could only guess that Colin is just a gem.
He's
You
a
know,
sweetie pie.
I can imagine. And that there's so much sweetness. And, if you two bring both of your full selves to the relationship, and it's so different, right? To have
Oh,
permission. Like, what
absolutely.
was that like tell me what that's like for you to actually be with a best friend who really gets you and just loves who you are.
It's oops. Um I think the big thing is that before I was constantly sort of formulating in my mind how I needed to be. Like, what was this version of myself that I needed to be to please a guy, in all my past relationships? What should I say that's going to be the most appealing? What should I do? What should I think? How should I come to the table? It's really exhausting. It's really exhausting. It's like, if you're doing that all the time, then you're not really, there we go, wait, I'm charging. If you're doing that all the time, you're not having that much fun. And they can tell. The guys can tell. It's like, we think that we're doing such a good job, and instead they're like, this girl's like a weird robot. Like, what is going on? Like, this is so strange. So with him, it's like, it's a lot less of being in my head, because I can just be myself. And I would say, though, that there's a layer to that. There's an element to how I come to the table with him, though, that is different from the past because of the course, in that I am pushing myself always to be as emotionally naked as possible. And to say the things that are in my heart, to show gratitude for him.
Vanessa, can you repeat that, because you froze?
Oh, I did?
Yeah.
Let's see. Any better now?
Yeah.
Okay. I was just saying that I do have to take a pause and make sure that I am always, showing gratitude for him, that I am communicating for him, like, the love that I have for him, recognizing the small and large things that he does for me. And I didn't do that. You didn't used to do that before, because it made me too vulnerable. I thought, well, if this guy knows how much I like him, he's going to run away. And what I realized, yeah, but you know what? It's like, that's what they tell you. That's what the kids tell you on the streets these days. It's like, be cool, play hard to get. If you like him too much, he's not going to like you. He's going to run away too much, but that's how you attract an avoidant guy. The cool cat just gets the avoidant guy. So it's like, I have to always be like, I make it a point all the time, just be like, you are the best. Like, thank you so much for going to IKEA with me for 5 hours yesterday to help me pick out a couch, and like bonding over Swedish meatballs. Like, that just like made me feel, and then fill in the blank about how great it made you feel, because guys want to know that they're doing a good job, and that they're making you happy, and that you recognize all the things that they're doing for you. And it's hard to keep up a relationship and stay motivated when you're not realizing the kind of impact that the other is having on you, both ways. And he said to me many times, I actually don't know if you know this, Lisa, he said to me in the first couple months of our relationship, he was like, there is just something about you that's so emotionally connected.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know what it is, or like how you learned this, but you're just so in tuned and open with your emotions. And I've never really experienced anything like this. And at the time, I wasn't ready to share that I was in the course, but I'm like, little do you know, I just learned this in module 7,
Wow. It's mind blowing. It really is, to think, look, I created the course. It's something that I put together out of my own experience, right? I was out there, and this is what I felt. These are the necessary pieces that I felt women needed to know to be able to have what what you're describing right here. And it's a beautiful path. I mean, I'm sure there's many different means to an end. There's many ways to go out, many coaches, and different roads to, getting to a partner. What did you love most? Like if somebody was trying to decide, do I do Lisa's course or do I do, this course or that one or that one? Why would you say like do this course?
It works. That's the most important thing. It works. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just, I don't know. I'm an example. Deeple's an example. There's so many people out there that are just examples of the fact that, like, you can let go a little bit, and this is going to give you the roadmap to find your person. And actually, you know what else? It just occurred to me. It's also the roadmap to be your person. Like the way that I talk to myself has changed. The way that I come to table in communications with others has changed. What I demand for myself in every facet of my life has changed. I used to let the bar be really low. Like
Wow.
in work, in dating, in certain life situations, I didn't believe that I had the right to ask for more.
Oh,
And I think the thing is, it's like my understanding of other courses, and granted, I haven't taken others, is that they're going to give you these sort of like hacks for how to lure in a guy. This is what your text should look like, or, here's what maybe your photos should look like. But, my personal experience has been that if you haven't found the right guy yet, you need to go deeper than just sending different texts and looking prettier in your photos. You got to dig in. And that's what this course does. It's a true deep dive into who you are holistically as a person. And that's a lot longer lasting than the quick fixes. I think the other thing too is it's like it changed my mindset a little bit about finding the right guy, in that, Colin is amazing. We're really enjoying this. But if it doesn't work out, I know that I have the tools to go out there and meet the guy that's the right person. And I also can look at the relationship that we're in and realize how much it taught me, the lessons that I learned from it, that he was just kind of like the meditation we do, just giving me a piece of the puzzle to be better prepared to meet the right person if it by chance turns out that it's not him. So it's also just about resilience, and
great.
about being able to confidently stand on your own 2 feet, knowing that while you can really, really want to be in a relationship and be okay if you're not for a little while, because you know that you're working toward finding that right person.
Yeah, and I think, Vanessa, the one other thing I would add to all of that, which was so thank you, is that this course it points you in the direction of a certain kind and quality of relationship,
Yeah.
what we call a guardian of your soul, and not just finding a partner, not just getting to I do or getting the guy, but getting really a beautiful, vulnerable, open, emotionally naked connection with your
Yes.
guy. That's really what this is. Honey, I hate to end.
No.
I hope like my love for you is so incredibly genuine. You are the most delightful combination of playfulness and laughter and depth. And I love all of those parts of you. I really do. I love all of your different facets. And there's many. It was my joy and pleasure to have been able to coach you and for you to choose to do this work with us. And I just send you so much love and wishes that everything else that you desire in this part of your life comes true for you. So Yeah, and thank you for being here today from all the bottom of my heart.
Oh, Lisa, thank you. I mean, you really kept your promise. You changed my whole life. So, there's nothing I could never express the amount of gratitude I have for you and Benjamin and Cassie and Rebecca. And I'm still in
Yeah,
SSW. So I still
yeah,
have you guys in life, and it's a joy. It's a blessing. You're a blessing. Thank you so
thank,
much.
thank you. And to everybody who listened today, thank you so much. And please, if you have any desire to just get this solved and find the guardian of your soul, please go to my website, lisashield.com, click on the button. And there are buttons all over the page, all over the website to view my free 45-minute presentation. You can watch it, jump on a breakthrough call, which Vanessa did not do because she was a referral, but you can jump on a call with me or a member of my team, and we will show you exactly how we will help you get this solved. You can also sign up for my podcasts wherever you get your podcast, and please rate and like them. Also give me a thumbs up on YouTube, a thumbs up on or a heart on Facebook. And two other things, you can watch my episodes. We do an episode on Thursday during the day, and that's with me. And that is from 11:30 Mountain Time to 12:30 Mountain Time. And then you can also catch my husband and me in an episode called Getting Inside the Right Male Mind. And that is my husband. So you can also watch us there. And that is on Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. I send love and light to everybody. You can email me, Lisa, or podcast at lisashield.com. This is a lot of information. So I should have a list so I can ramble through it artfully, but I haven't made that list yet. And thank you all for being here. Just tell everyone you know, your sisters, your cousins, your nieces, your nephews, your fathers and mothers and sisters and brothers. That rhymes. Anybody that you think will benefit from these talks, please tell them about the course and about our 2 broadcasts. Love to everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye. Wait, don't go anywhere. Oh, she clicked off. Oh. Oh, Vanessa's amazing. Amazing. She is the freaking cutest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, so she's met somebody.
Yeah, she's been with him a long time. I think this is not